What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 2 of our podcast here. I got my buddy Curt Shewell on today.
Woo-woo.
This is an honor to have you, man. We're going to have some fun today, but what I want to do to start with is, can you tell us about you? Can you give us the background? Who is Curt Shewell?
Oh boy. I'm just a normal dude like anybody else, sports fanatic type guy. I get into my business. I take it serious. I have fun with it. When I was in high school, I took an aptitude test and it said, what you're going to be. And everybody was like, I'm going to be a fireman, a policeman, a doctor, a surgeon, a lawyer, a engineer, all these different things that everybody was like, oh, these are all great, respected things. Mine said I was going to be a salesman, and it said actually used car salesman. And everybody laughed about it. And I was so embarrassed. It was like this horrible thing. And it's really funny because those aptitude tests, kind of like DISC profiles, Working Genius, whatever ones you use, they're really spot on because they dial it in, and it's amazing how that can work. Well, this is back in the 80s, right? Early 80s. So when that was going on, computers were like a new thing. So it was kind of funny. And it dialed it in on me so perfectly, and I had no idea. So I went from this embarrassment of it to who I really am. I started selling shoes right out of high school.
You sold shoes?
I did. That was my first job. I was working at Taco Bell, right? And I was also selling shoes. So that's what I did. So I worked at the mall selling shoes at Tom McCann's shoe store, and then flipping tacos when I was after that, because I would work the night shift. So the mall closed at 9. I could work till 9, be at Taco Bell at 10, work till 2:30 in the morning to close, and you got paid. But what I did was I worked there because you could eat for free if you worked there. So even on your days off, if you came in, you could eat for free. So I was living on my own right out of high school. And so it really worked out great. I was able to eat for free, and I ate Taco Bell every single day. So I became a huge Taco Bell guy. And that's who I was, but I
what was your favorite thing to eat, Curt? Hang on. What was your favorite thing at Taco Bell?
Okay, honestly, the enchilada with sour cream, extra olives. That's what I did. Because we used to have black olives back in the day. They don't make them anymore, or they don't sell them anymore at Taco Bell. We used to have to slice them. We used to have to cook the beans in a pressure cooker and take a drill with a long, big blade on it. And you would literally drill the beans, and you had to cook the beef in the store. I mean, everything was made there. Nowadays, it's all pre-made. They send it in packages, so it's good to go. But so as far as efficiencies, it's a smart play. That was the thing. And then I used to make these nachos before Nacho Bel Grande was a thing. I used to make these platters of nachos because they sold nachos and chips. And I used to put them on a platter, and then I would make each one individually and make a platter of nachos. That was my thing.
The Nacho Bel Grande, I had a card that was always buy one, get one free. And so I would do that. And then we had a Choco Taco. You remember Choco Tacos?
Oh my God, of course. Yes. Yeah.
So we had a buy one, get one free Choco Taco too. So as a teenager, 16, 17.
That's a home run.
What's open at 1 a.m? Taco Bell, 2 Nacho Bel Grandes and the Choco Taco, baby.
Yeah.
That was always with a Mountain Dew. Oh man.
Yeah.
So didn't think we were going to start there, but for all my
how about that? We're talking Taco Bell of all things.
Taco
I got
Bell
into sales. That was my thing, right? So I ended up doing exactly what I was embarrassed about thinking I was going to be as a salesperson. So I was selling shoes. Guy came in, I sold him a bunch of shoes. I sold him a pair of shoes, and I sold him a bunch of, all the we were called findings at the time, where it's all the add-on things. I sold him the polishes and the shoe trees and all the good stuff, socks, hosiery, all that. And he bought all that stuff, and he kept buying everything I was selling. And I even sold him the sponge that you wipe your shoes with the little mink oil in it, and all these things. And he bought everything. I was like, man, I love this customer. He's buying everything I'm telling him. He was interviewing me, and I had no idea. And then he offered me a job selling stereo equipment at an appliance store. Because at the time, I also was CJ the DJ, and I did that in high school, and I did that in college. And so I did weddings and parties and stuff like that. I had a lot of fun doing that. I loved that. And so I was into that. So I quit selling shoes, started selling appliances, realized I made a lot more money doing that. Then I became a manager at an appliance store. And, by the time I was 22, I was running a store, and it was pretty cool. I thought I was all that, and I learned how to sell because it was a commission only job. So I really did learn how to become a salesperson. I worked with some incredible salespeople. They were so good. These, remember, this is what guys did to make a living. I was in my 20s. There was guys in their 40s, 50s, 60s making a living working there, and they took it real serious. So I learned how to work a sales floor against some of the best agents out there. And it was really great. So I really learned well. Some of those people became some of my best friends, which I am still absolutely huge, tight friends with today. A whole bunch of them, shocker, they're in real estate. And I still them
Yeah.
today. And now I moved into, of course, brokerage EXP, and I brought all them over to EXP with me. So it's really an awesome thing to know I've got guys that I was friends with for 41 years that I am working with today in real estate
Yeah.
and building, a lot of that. So I went
Well,
from selling the shoes, selling the appliances. I sold a guy a bunch of appliances. He offered me a job in the waste industry, and I didn't even know what city waste was. And I started working for a guy named George Ashuto hired me to work at Waste Management. So I worked there. It was called City Management at the time, and I started selling dumpsters, garbage hauling, and I did that, and I loved it. That was business to business, and I was like, "This is the greatest thing on the planet. I can literally walk in any place I want and go sell them.
mhm,
Like, I don't have to wait for people to come to me. I can go to them. This is like the easiest thing on the planet." And I crushed it, and I was really good at it because it allowed me to make as much money as I wanted to make, and I was really still the young 20s. I was really hyper focused on money because I was living on my own, trying to pay bills, trying to figure it out. And I just needed to make more money, more money, more money. And when I did that, I started making over 100 grand. And it was like, man, this is like top of the food chain. I was 25 years old. And,
yeah.
I had buddies in
Kurt,
college.
when you make 100 grand, that first milestone,
Mhm.
life changes. Like things
It
seem
does.
possible.
Yeah. That's what I
And
learned.
yeah,
That's what
that's
I
a cool
learned,
moment.
Austin. All of this was a learning experience, and I was on a TV show called My Story that they did on Amazon, and what was neat about it was one of the stories in it had asked me, what was something that you had like failures that helped you, really form you who you were and help you really go to that next level.
Mm,
And a guy named Neil Feldman was our supervisor there. I still love the guy, and I'm still friends with him today, and which is so neat. Right. This is when I was 22 years old, and he made me a manager at that appliance chain. But when I first was up to get promoted, he came in and told me he was going to come interview me for that promo. And everybody knew I was going to get it. And I knew it. And I was feeling great about it. And there were a lot of jealous people. And I was like, yeah, this is great. And he came in and we started talking and we talked about girls and parties and, doing stupid stuff. And I was 22 and I was still wanting to be that guy with the lampshade on his head, acting silly, having fun. But I could sell and I could run and run with the best of them. And he, came in, we chatted for a bit. He's like, what's happening? I told him all those kind of stories about what I'm doing and all this. He went to talk to some other people and he's like, all right, hey, I got to go. I'm like, hey, I thought we were going to do the interview. Oh, no, we're all set. We already did. I'm like, we did? Really? And
mm.
he's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're just not ready yet. You're still too mature to run one of my multi-million-dollar stores. And I was like, wait, what? And this was one of the greatest moments ever for me because it was so horrific that I got told I was too mature and I wasn't ready to do it and I wasn't getting the promotion. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm like, Neil, I thought we were going to we haven't had an interview. He goes, oh, yeah, we did. He's Kurt, remember this. You're always being interviewed. Remember that.
You're
And it was
always being interviewed.
such a huge lesson and it's transcended for decades for me since. And I never forgot it. I still live by it. And I remember every single time you meet a client, every time you meet a person, every friend I have was based from that point on in my future of, hey, I need to show them who I really am and how I show up. And that transcended
Yeah.
tremendously in my
Well,
career path from there, really skyrocketed. And, I've done very well and I'm real
Well,
happy
let
with
me
that.
let me take let me take that and then add this. So when I thought about you, I always like to have a theme when I talk.
Sure.
And so the theme for our conversation today is relationships.
Yeah.
And remember what Neil taught you. We're always being interviewed. So let me are you I'm sure you're okay with it, but I want to tell them about our first
Oh
relationship.
my
The
God.
first
Yeah.
time we got into
Well, let
relationships.
me,
So it
let
was
me
back in
premise it with this is
yeah.
where again, and I'm older than you, or your older brother. However, I learned so much from you at that moment. I was in it and didn't realize sometimes you inherently have these things. And that's the difference. And it brought it to light to me to make me think about it. So tell the story because it's a
Yes.
brilliant story and everybody should think this way and it will change their lives as a trajectory. I promise.
So I don't want to lose that gold what you just said. I knew about it and I was in it, but I didn't know I was in it.
Hmm.
And everybody here, we have those moments. And when you're in something, but you don't know when you're in it. And that's wisdom, essentially. And so what today with our relationships, what I really wanted Kurt to bring to everybody here is just our wisdom about relationships and what that looks like. And we got a great one. Like, dude, you're like, we're here. So
Yeah.
let's rip the band-aid off. Let's tell them about this. I'm gonna tell them my side of the story here on the start of our relationship And so it's back in 2020. I just moved my license to EXP. I heard they were having a sprint event. The top 50 people, the top 50 recruiters, you had to recruit 3 people. The first 50 in each region got to go to a private event, 50. And I'm like, I gotta be there. I gotta have this. So boom, I think I was number 36 on the list out of 50. And I'm like, yeah, baby. And so what I did is I figured out who the assistant was who sent me the information. Hey, you're here. And I said, could you send me the list of the people? They're like, I go, please, I'd really just like to know these people before I spend time with them. So they sent me the list. Well, what also happened at the time, I got the list of the 50. I cross referenced it with the top 15 rev share earners. And you were on that list. So you got a call from me. Do you remember what our call sounded like?
I do actually, because it was so memorable. I used it in times that I've spoken on different stages and platforms. And when people ask me, how do you network the way you do? And I said, let me tell you a story about somebody who really put it in perspective for me based on the way they did it. And that was you. And it was from that call. I was actually driving. I was just left the office and I was driving home and I wanted to stop and get my car washed. And it was the week of Halloween. So,
Yeah.
and we were going on this trip in a few days. And I knew I was going on the trip as well. So I wanted to get my car washed, get everything put away because in the next couple 2 days or something later, we're leaving. And you called and I just got a random call number I didn't know. And I'm like, okay. And it was kind of a perfect timing scenario because we all just send those calls to voicemail all the time. And I've learned, take the call, take the call. And
Mm.
that's the first lesson I want anybody that cares enough to listen, take the call. A number you don't know, take the call. They might be selling you something. It might be the next person that you actually attract into your business who might be a perfect salesperson for you. Because if they're making cold calls and if they're calling you on the phone, what type of salesperson are they? Think about that first of all. They're willing to grind, they're willing to work for it. Those are the people I look for. So I don't have a problem answering the phone. Second thing was I answer the phone because I don't know what you're going to get. And life sends you people, right? And you can go
Yes.
spiritual on this. I do personally. I believe in a
Yep.
lot of
Same
things.
here.
And I think God sends people into my world all the time. And it's for me to pay attention enough to notice that he sent them. And you're one of them. And look where we are today. And we'll get into that part. However, what really happened was you called, I answer, hey Curt, Austin Cheviron. I just wanted to say hi to you. I'm gonna see you at the sprint event. And I'm like, really? Okay. Why are you calling me? And it literally, what it did was it triggered me to go into, okay, discovery mode. Why is he calling me? What the heck is it? Why would he call me if I'm going to see him in a few days? He's going to be at the event. I'll be there. No big deal.
Mhm.
And then you went into, hey, this is my first time. It's my first event. I'm going to, which gave me a sense of, okay, and again, depends on who you are as a person. As a person, I'm like, okay, I need to help this guy. Then if he's new, my job is to reach my hand out and see if he wants to take it. And if he does, then I can actually help him. So when you said that, it made me in a sense of, now think about this. You're asking me for advice. You're asking me questions. You want to make sure, hey, I want to know you before I get there so we don't waste
That's
any
it.
time.
Everybody pay attention to that. Say
Yeah.
that again, Curt.
You said, I want to meet you right now and just talk to you for just a few minutes so we can get the introduction part out of the way because I want to meet you now so I don't have to waste time when we're together in that room because I know you won't have much of it and neither will I.
Mhm.
And I want to make use of every minute of that. So if you're okay with it, I'd like to just talk to you a little bit about you so I know who you are, so you know who I am. So when I get in the room, we can actually talk from there and be productive. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow. He made me put my A game on right now by asking that question. He asked me permission to get to meet me now so we don't have to waste time on that later so we can make best use of our time. You want to talk about putting you on your toes like, oh man, I better bring it then. Look at this guy. That's what went through my head. And I was like, I love this guy already. And we
Yeah.
hadn't met because of the way
Yeah.
you approach that. And I was so, I had so much respect for that that it made me go, damn, I got to up my game, not only for you, but this is something I got to remember because this is how I need to show up. I need to stop wasting
Yeah.
so much darn time. We talk about time is money, but are you really living that? You do, my friend. Hell, you wrote a book about it,
Yeah.
and I think it's phenomenal because it's exactly this. But this is who you are. This is how you show up. So that's how it started.
It's funny. I called Jay Kinder, same thing. Jay Kindle, Micro Reese. I literally called all the top
Mhm.
people. And Jay, I remember Jay saying, "Who does this?" I go, "Hi, Jay. My name's Austin Cheviron." He goes, "This is just interesting."
Mhm.
And so I went through the list, we got a conversation, and then we went down to Nashville, we kicked it off. And
Mhm.
once again, everyone hearing this, it's just a level of preparation. If you're
Mhm.
gonna go sacrifice and leave your family and there's good things involved, like how much time are you investing in it? And that's all I did is I took time and I invested. Now, I didn't have a lot of time, but I knew Curt said it was a couple days before.
Mhm.
Me and Curt talked that day for I think our call was between 41 and 45 minutes, if I remember right.
You went
And
through
you
the car
took me
wash with
through the I went through the car wash. Curt was like, "This is the most amazing car wash." I could only imagine all the Halloween
yeah.
stuff scaring you as you're going through, and I got to enjoy it with him. Well, we come back from Nashville. He's like my older brother now. We get back from Nashville and I call him up and I said, "Hey, you're up in Detroit. I'm in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Could I come up and shadow you for a day?" And Kurt's
Mhm.
like, "Absolutely."
Oh, yeah.
And so tell him about the first time I came up there. If you remember the lockbox experience and
I
all
do.
that.
I do, very much so. So this is where you don't know until you know who's going to come into your life that's going to change the way you do things, the way you think, the way you prepare, the way you show up, the way you even talk and communicate to others. Austin has been such a breath of fresh air for me because every single time we talk, I'm getting a lesson out of it. And every time we talk, I hope to leave him with something that he can take to make him a better person each time. And sometimes it's about personal level things, sometimes it's about business level things. So I didn't realize what a beast he was in business that I'm like, damn, I really need to understand him because I went through the school of hard knocks. I sold everything on the planet once. Right. I went through every sales job there was and got into real estate. You had a fast track into it. So that became something you understood quickly. I didn't. I've been in real estate, 22 years now, and I'm still learning about real estate. Pretty darn good at it, but I'm still learning about it. I coach, teach, and train it, but I'm still learning about it and I never stop. And you're one of those people who I have brought into my circles because the value you bring to me is the value I know you're bringing to them. And it's turned into quite an amazing thing. Austin Chevron comes to
Yeah.
the Detroit market and in real estate, everybody knows who he is. And that's an impressive thing. We get into that down the road.
Yeah, we'll
Um,
get it.
However, when you came out to my office, what was great was I had a manager's meeting. And I'm sitting there in the manager's meeting, and there's 5 of us, and we're all in the room, and Austin gets to be the fly on the wall. Now, nobody knows who this guy is but me. And they're like, why is this guy in our meeting? We're having a leadership meeting. Like, why is this guy in here? And I go, oh, he's a leader from another market. He's from Indiana. He's shadowing, and I want him to see what we do in our leadership meetings. And we start getting into the conversation, and we start talking about lock boxes. Lock boxes, which we all know are the probably the least expensive thing we use in our entire business transaction on a listing. But we put them on every house. So they're an important factor. Well, we had a question of, hey, we're going through these lock boxes, we're sending them out, we're shipping out. Now, keep in mind, our team at the time, we're doing about 1,000 transactions a year. So we are a machine of a team and we do it at a high level. So Austin's listening and he's excited to be in this meeting because, man, if these guys are doing it here, they must know all
Yeah.
the secrets to the success, right? They got the secret sauce. So he's in there looking for the secret sauce. And we're on about 6 or 7 minutes into conversations about lock boxes and how should we be picking those up? Who should we sending to go get those? Should we be doing it? And Austin just goes, "Oh my God, guys, I'm sorry. I gotta stop you and interrupt right here." And we were like looking at him like, "Hey, fly on the wall, shut up." Right? You're not even in this meeting. And he's like,
Mhm.
"I am so sorry,
Exactly right.
but I am listening to one of the top teams in the country wasting already over 5 minutes on lock boxes. How much do you pay for those?" And our girl, Melissa or Marissa, she goes, "We pay about $2.50 a piece because we buy, hundreds and hundreds of them at a time." And he goes, "They're $2.50. Donate them. Don't ever pick them up again. Don't send somebody to pick them up. You are losing money by sending
Mm.
somebody to pick them up. Why are we talking about lock boxes for more than about 60 seconds? Because you just wasted over 5 minutes, and it was about 7." He goes, "Of your leadership 1 hour meeting, you've spent how much percent of this time talking
Oh, it
about,"
was like 1,000. Yeah, and I was like, "You guys just lost $1,000."
and that's what
And
he
Curt,
said.
what's amazing about that moment that I want people just it's a risk, but it's a choice is what
Yes.
it is.
Yes.
I had to make a choice
Mhm.
in that moment where I believe I knew the right thing to say,
Yeah.
which is, you guys need to stop talking about lockboxes and talk about things more important. But here's the risk. It was what, 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not, it was 9 in the morning. If I say that, even if I'm right, I could have the wrong conclusion for it and they could shit me and pack me and go home.
Mhm.
And I had to make a conscious choice. Am I going to say this with the risk of being shipped home? Or am I going to not say it and have to live with myself? And so I'm like, screw it. And I said it, and I said it respectfully.
Yeah. Very, very. And
And that one comment, along with our first call, is one of those milestone moments that change the trajectory of not just our relationship, but
yep.
those 4 other relationships in the room.
Yep. And it did. And it put you in a seat that, hey, if this guy's sitting at our table, he brings value immediately because he not only told us stop talking stupidly about lock boxes, which looking back at it was so foolish, but yet when you're in the throes of it,
No.
you don't see it as foolish. It's another thing we've got to get handled. We got to figure this out. Well, the reality was, what are you figuring out? And what is the time versus the money that you're taking to figure this out? It's $2.50. What if you never, and he said, what he left out here is he said, what if you never picked up another one again and you just left him? And we were like, well, that would make a lot more sense. He says, because you're spending more money to pick them up than you're spending to buy them. Why would you go pick
Yeah.
them up? If you get them at the closing table, great. God bless you. You got some back. Who cares? And I was like, oh my God. He's starting. We all looked at each other like, we need more of this guy to make us more efficient with our own time. And here we're a well-oiled machine. And yet, you don't know the cogs in the wheel that you have until somebody brings it up. And he did. And he said, I had to take a risk of doing after the meeting. He told me, he goes, I am
Yeah.
so sorry I spoke. I said, I am not. I said, if you ever heard me say something as foolish as that and having this kind of conversation again, and you didn't tell me, I said, I would be very angry with you. So do me a favor. Always interject things like that if you've got that type of clarity, because it's easy for somebody not in it to see it. Sometimes the person outside can see it clearly. When you're in the room, it's difficult. And Austin was able to do that. So what happened from there was we would make jokes about, hey, no more lockbox conversations, or I'm going to call Austin, right? And we would make jokes about it. And we need Austin back in here to get us back on track. And it really taught us some valuable lessons. And again, other people see things differently than you do. And you need to be open to their thoughts. They don't all fit,
Mm.
they don't all work, they're not all perfect, but you need to be open to it because there is a lot of smart people. And it goes back to the phone call when I'm on my way to go through a car wash, and it was Halloween, and there were people the whole thing was decked out. There were everybody in costumes, and it was spooky as heck in the car. It was amazing. I was laughing my butt off walking him through it. But he got to know what kind of person Curt is, because Curt's loving life, enjoying the fact he's going through a 4-minute car wash, and he's giving me play by play as it's
Yeah.
going and making Austin feel like he was there. He's like, okay, that's the kind of guy I can really have in my world because it adds value to me. It's just because that's how I show up. And I was giving the true me. Then we met. Then he got to see immediately the true me. And we didn't have to waste time trying to figure out if we liked each other, if we knew each other. That conversation, like you said, went for 40 some minutes. And I went all the way home with him talking on the phone, got all in my house, came in the house, still on the phone with my wife and home. And she's making dinner, and I'm talking to Austin. And she was like, oh, who was that? And I'm like, oh, this is this new guy I just met. He called me out of the blue and absolutely blew my
Yeah.
mind at the conversation we were having. And I'm thinking different already. Now, fast forward to what we said. We go meet at the Sprint. We like each other in Nashville. We had a lot of fun, a lot of blast. He worked the room, I worked the room, and he's like, I watched you work the room. I said, I watched you work the room. And it was really interesting that we were very like-minded people with a lot of
Yeah.
synergy and two totally different perspectives of how we see everything. And it was like, dude, I saw this. Did you see? He's like, I did, but I didn't think of it like that. I'm like, well, how did you think of it? And he told me, wow, how did you think of it like that? Love that. So it was constantly back and forth. It was kind of yin yang. And it was really an amazing
Yes.
thing. And then when he came to Detroit and in our meetings, I'm like, okay, I need a different set of eyes because I need to go to my next level. And this guy can level me up. And that's where this comes from. And you have to be open to that, even though I didn't know what to expect, but I was open to whatever I could get. And this is where it took us.
Yeah. Well, I love it, Curt. I want to fast forward, but also go back a little bit. It was about 7 months ago, I think. it goes about 7 months ago. So everybody listening, me and Kurt are talking about a story that happened that was back in 2020, 2021,
Yeah,
the beginning of into 2020, maybe the beginning of 2021 is when this happened. Okay. Today is February 19th, 2026. So probably around August, I'm heading up to Detroit and I'm going to state this moment and then go backwards a little bit, Kurt.
sure.
But I'm charging my Tesla at the charging station. I now know every charging station in Detroit.
Yes, you do.
God, I did like, oh, here's the Myers again. I know
Where's
this
to you,
place.
bro?
And I was talking to Kurt, and he's like, "Hey, what you doing?" I said, "Hey, I'm coming up to Detroit today." And he goes, "Oh, you might have said something like, does anyone know?" And I'm like, "No, I can't tell everybody I'm coming up because I only tell you a lot of times, other than the client I might be working with or
Mhm,
something."
mhm.
And I said, "Kurt, I go, I think I have like 300 clients and customers up in Detroit now." He goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, and I'll never forget, Kurt. You go, "You told me what you do, and I watched you do it, but I didn't realize it.
Yes. Yeah,
You
I'm the
told
same.
me how you build your business. You told me you built by relationships, you
Yep,
build by referral,
yep,
and I was right there next to you. Hell, I was every time I go up to Detroit, I stay at Kurt's house.
yep.
So me and Kurt, like, if I'm going to go there, I want that extra time with them."
Mhm.
And so for the 4 years of those years, I go and speaking in Detroit, thanks to Kurt. Kurt's introducing me to people. I'm pouring into them and I'm doing the relationship game. I'm pouring into them. I'm finding out who's good, who's not good, put them over there. I like these people. I'm hanging out. Who
Right,
else do you know? Fast forward 4 years, I go up to Detroit. I got 300 clients and customers up there, and I got to watch who I tell is up there because as soon as Detroit knows I'm coming, and they're all like, "Hey, Austin, can we go out to lunch with you? Can we have this?" And I'm like, "I'm just kind of hanging out with Kurt and then speaking over here today." But I always remember what you said there, Kurt. You said, you told me what you did
yep.
from day one. Here's how I build.
Mhm.
I watched you do it, but I didn't realize the compounding effect.
Correct.
And that's a beautiful statement about relationships, that when you truly care and you truly give,
Mhm.
the compounding effect of relationships. What did you see from your chair now, knowing what you know? Like, what did you see over those years?
Yeah, I think what you said is kind of profound, and I don't know if this is resonating with everybody the way I would love it to, because it needs to sink in a little bit. Is the relationships you have, if they're genuine and you're approaching them the
Yeah.
right way, you'll form very good, long lasting, deep relationships, and then you can really trust that person. Because I never worry about what I'm going to say to Austin, and it allows me to be, if I can use the word, vulnerable in conversations of things that I'm not great at. I know everything I'm not great at. I don't want to talk about a lot of those things because these are things I'm not great at. So there's no fun in that. But the reality is there's learning lessons in those. So not that I want to be great at any of the things that I'm not good at, but I want to make sure I've got people around me who are. And when I talked to Austin and I watched him grow and develop this relationships, like I told him, I've always realized, I worked a room really well until I didn't know it. I just did it. I didn't know I was doing it. I just did
Mhm.
it because that was natural to me. And then people started saying to me, "Man, you really work a room." And I'm like, "Wasn't that what we're here for?" Like, was that a
Yeah.
good or a thing or a bad
Uh,
thing? The first time as I was hearing, I was like, "Why are you people?" Like, multiple people are saying this to me, and I'm like, "All right, am I doing something wrong? Am I doing it right?" And they're like, "Oh no,
Well,
dude, I wish I could do that." And I'm like, "What am I doing? That's impressive to someone else."
it
And then I started realizing, well, I'm creating these relationships because I was very good at how to get introductions and how to get in front of somebody and pay attention to the room. And my wife and I talk about it a lot when we first started dating, just to give you a premise. And it's kind of like Austin, not that we were dating, but it's the same
yeah,
premise though,
it's the same
is
thing.
when me and my wife were first dating, she had said something to me on one of our first 3 or 4 dates. We were out to eat, and at the restaurant, I'm talking to her, and I am doing this the whole time. And she got
Yeah.
mad. And she's like, "You know what? I don't know if I even want to finish this dinner." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa. We were having great conversation. Whoa, aren't we having great conversation?" She goes, "No." I'm like, "No? I'm a talker. What do you mean? I can talk. I mean, well, what do you mean?" And she goes, "No." She goes, "You are paying attention to every single thing in here except for me." I said, "No, no, 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 no. I promise you, I'm not. I'm not." I know my surroundings. I'm just watching and paying attention to what's going on around us. That's all I'm doing. It's what I do. Unfortunately, it's a curse. It's a gift. It's I don't know what. I said, but that's what I'm doing. And I said, I'm paying attention to these other things. And she's like, no, you're not. You're more interested in everything else and going on other than me. I said, I am
Mm.
100% interested in you. I am infatuated with you. I am so excited we're on this date. I'm sorry you're not feeling that way. I will lock in on you. But I was paying attention because this couple right here across, they're about to get divorced. They're having some serious troubles. They're married and they're talking about getting divorced. I said, now the people right behind you, they're on their first date. And it's kind of funny to watch them. We're our first, few dates. And I said, that
Yeah.
the one that's over here over my shoulder, about 2 tables back on across the aisle there. Oh yeah, it's really kind of funny because they got a problem with one of their kids and they're trying to have this dinner and their kid keeps calling and the babysitter's calling. It's really, it's like, you're just making that up. I'm like, no, it's totally what's going on around us right here. And matter of fact, the waiter that's waiting on us, he's got this and that. And she's like, she starts looking around. And then she's listening. I said, listen, most people don't listen. I listen. I talk a lot, but I listen. Austin listens. And this is what was neat about the relationship. So my wife, just to finish that piece, oh my God, you were so, oh my God, they're biting on it. I'm like, I know. Just enjoy your meal. It's all good. I'm with you. Let's talk about you. And she's like, no, we got to listen to that. And I'm like, we can. But it's just, I know my surroundings because there's always somebody. And then sure enough, within minutes, somebody comes by the table. Oh my God, Curt, what's happening? How you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, hey, what's happening? And then she started going, everywhere we go, you know people.
Mm.
And I said, I can go to places that are my regular places. I can go to other places, but I do because I'm open to people and I show up. And she goes, what does that mean? And I said, I make sure that everybody knows I'm approachable. My job is to make sure I look, act, and seem approachable. That means when you're looking across the room and somebody sees your eyes, everybody looks away. I don't. I smile and give a nod because I'm open to conversation because I'm here for a purpose. I don't even know sometimes who I'm here to meet. I just know there's somebody in this room that I
Yeah.
probably should. And I don't know who that might
Yeah.
be, but I'm open to it. When I watched you, I said, okay, I watched this guy work a room and he works it very differently than I do. And he's very purposeful on what he's doing. I'm more open to everything, waiting to see what attracts to me because I'm going to be
Yes.
very open. And I've had people tell me we were on that cruise. I spoke at the cruise
Yeah.
at sea last year, right? I was out there. So we're in the
Yeah.
Caribbean
Oh,
somewhere,
yeah.
and we're in this island, and we're in a circle, and there's everybody on the boat. We're all there, and there's 100 people around, and we're all there. And they said everybody like, Curt, we have a question. I'm like, what's that? We're in this like big giant circle. They said, how are you the most approachable person on the whole boat?
Mm.
And I said, what do you mean? And they said, you are so approachable. How do you do that? And then, yeah, 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 yeah. And also all these people are like, yeah, you're so approachable. And I was like, well, I said, I'm open. I'm not closed. I said, most of you are closed off of certain things that you're afraid of. I said, I'm not afraid of anything because I'm not afraid of who I am. And most people are afraid of being embarrassed. Most people are afraid that they're going to say
Yes.
something, look something, they're not dressed right, their hair's out of place, one little tiny thing, and they're messed up over it. Nobody cares, but they believe everybody does because that's what they're focused on. You're inward focused, you're not outward focused. And if you're not outward focused, you're not open to anybody. And nobody's going to come and approach you and nobody's going to feel comfortable approaching you. I make sure that I'm outward focused so anybody can approach me. And sometimes it sucks because you got to do things to get away from people,
Well,
but
you
that
you make
opens
a
up.
you make a good point, Curt. The point when it's funny when I'm hearing you say that, the listener right now, it's like, are you Curt? Or are you more Austin? Or are you something else? And one of the things, Curt, that I've worked with you on and that I am, and I'm going to bring this up and I'd like to talk about this for maybe 30, 60 seconds, is that word intentional.
Mhm.
Curt invited me. Let's talk about this for a second.
Yeah,
Not to name any names, but let's just talk about the experience.
sure.
Kurt's like, hey, Austin, I want to take you to a Red Wings game.
Yeah.
And we got a couple other people. And I'm like, oh, who's coming, Curt? And Curt tells me who's coming. And I said, Curt, this is very important where
Yes.
we sit
Yep.
because where we sit will determine the conversation we have the whole game.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, really? I go, yes, let's look at this. We got 4 seats. Where the people are, is one on the end? Do we have people next to us? How do we want to sit? Who do we want to talk to? He's like, well, here's what I want to do. So we have our seats. And I'm like, well, let me tell you this, as we're walking down the stairs, you can't be like, hey, let me get in front of you so I can sit here.
Yes.
So when I talk about intentionality,
Yes.
people, I'm talking down to the, if I'm going to sit
Yeah.
here, who am I sitting next to? Why am I sitting next to them? What does that look like?
Yep.
How, when I walk to that place, what does the walk look like? Do I have to think about this a mile before, or can I think about it now?
Yep.
And what does that look like and why? So that the Red Wings game was a great example of
It
that.
was. Let me just expand on it slightly with that,
Yeah,
because you were so right. When you said that to me, and that's exactly what I said. I never thought about that. And you said, well, Curt, if I heard you right, because remember, Austin was listening to me when I said who was coming. He wasn't listening to,
yeah,
oh, it's John and Mike. He said, who's
yeah,
coming? Because he needed to know who they were to me and how important were they to me for tonight. Is there intention here? Do you need something on it? And I said, yes. This guy's coming because I know he knows this guy and it'll be comfortable for this guy, but this is the guy that I'm bringing because I need time with this guy. You're coming because this
yeah.
guy also knows you. And he said, then who's sitting where? And I said, oh, I didn't think about that. And he goes,
Oh, then
you
think
better
about
think
that.
about that. And that's what your answer was. You better think about
Yeah.
that. And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, and I was going to do it on the fly. I was going to do it there, which most people do.
Sure.
Fly by the seat of my
Eh,
pants. I just work a route. We're all very
yeah.
good at it. However, if you're intentional, you don't have to be so good at it because it's already predetermined. And all I needed was my partner in the room, Austin, because Austin said, okay, how much time do you want with him? I said, I need him sitting next to me all the time. And he said, great. If the other guy's sitting next to you on this side, is he going to talk to you? I said, he is not going to let go of me. He is going to talk to me the entire time. And Austin said, then I will be next to you, buffering you between you and
Yeah.
him. He'll be talking to me. You'll be talking to him. I said, my
Mm.
man. And he goes, so when we get there, I will help orchestrate how we walk in. Where do you want to sit, Curt? And that's what you said. I said, okay. I
Yeah.
usually sit on the end chair. You said, yes, but you need me between the two of you. So he's not caught looking the other way. He can only look to you. And I'm like, my guy. So you brought that way of thinking in my head of, I would have tried to manipulate it. But then like your point was, first period, I might have it right. The second period, now we're all scrambled. Third period,
Yeah.
I never got what I wanted. And then I would have
Yes.
wasted
That's
that
it.
opportunity because I wasn't intentional enough. Austin helped make that happen. Then Austin actually had him. Oh, yeah, come on here. Come on in with me. And Austin pushed the guy in front of him as we were coming to the seats to literally have him go in first. Then Austin came in second, looked at me and smiled. And I said, yeah, I got it. I said, here, and I got to say to my other guy, here, why don't you sit on the end so you have a little more room? And that he goes,
You
oh,
don't want to be
thank
the
you.
guys playing musical chairs. Oh, hey, I want to sit next to him.
Exactly.
Four grown adults. Oh, I want to sit next to him. You don't want to do that, right?
Right.
You got to
Right.
think about this stuff. And you can't be like walking down the stairs and
Yeah.
then run in front of somebody. Like,
Sure.
what is wrong with you?
Like we're back in
So
sixth
I,
grade with that, right? That's so
I
funny.
think the two words for today, Kurt, is intentional relationships.
Yes.
And what I
Yes.
want our listeners to really get here, and I love our story, Kurt. Not just the story is less important than my relationship with you, but because we can get both, because we can win twice.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
love it. I
Yeah.
absolutely
100%.
love it.
Yeah.
And now
There's
we can
nothing I
share it
can't
with the
ask you,
world.
right? There's nothing I
Yeah.
can't ask you. There's nothing I can't bounce off you. There's nothing that I can't ask you for, right?
Yeah. Well,
And
let me say this, Kurt. I
that's it.
wanted to talk about real quick here. I want to talk. I have 4 goals this year, and I want to go through these, and I want to share one thing with you before our time's up today. So I have 4 goals. My first goal is to write my second book, which I'm in process now. I don't know
Yes,
if
you
I
are.
told you.
Yep. We
Okay.
talked about
So
it. We
yes,
talked
yeah,
about it. Yeah.
yes. So we're in process. That's
Yep.
goal 1. Goal 2 is to optimize Chevron Live, which is my group coaching session. And optimize, just work on the community, work on the training, work on all the stuff. Goal 3 is to receive referrals, which might seem weird to say, but in my business, I don't necessarily have an open phone to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of goes behind a paywall that I talk for a fee. That's my business now. So
Yep.
it's hard for me to call everybody and say, who do you know? And then they call me and I'm like, hey, I can call you, but you can't call me. And
Yep.
it just doesn't feel right. So I'm working on that. But where I want to go with this, my 4th goal is to get my message out to the masses this year. And so when we went to that goal, what I did with my team is we wrote down all the different options that we could possibly do that. and the podcast was one of them.
Yep.
Now, when that answer was one of them, what do you think my first answer was?
As far as the podcast part?
Podcast, this right now, yeah. So podcast was a way to get my message out to the
Oh,
masses.
right, right,
What do
right.
you think my first answer was?
Oh, your first answer was probably no, you didn't wanna do it because you gotta put yourself out there and it's gonna cost you
I'm
time and you're not ready.
I'm like
That's your
I'm
answer.
like,
Yeah.
I my first answer is always no. No, I don't
Always
wanna
no.
do this. I know it
Always
might achieve the goal, but the
yeah.
time and the energy and everything it's gonna take just doesn't work. And then what happened was is my buddy Randy called me up. And Randy said, "Hey, I'm starting this new venture with my business partner Brett, and I'd love we have a podcast company called Apex, and I'd love for you to be one of our clients."
Mhm.
And I thought, "There's no way in hell I'd ever do it by myself." But with two professionals, I said, "Let me get on a call with you." And so I got on a call. They blew the socks away. I mean, I got high expectations, Kurt,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they outperformed that in my call. And I'm like, you know what? My answer became it went from no to a hell yes really quick.
Yeah.
So here's where I'm going here. Um, it's funny. This is going to be episode 2, and we're going to announce this at the rally. By the way, we're going to have some fun with.
Perfect.
I might have you make the announcement
We'll have fun with
just to give back to Detroit. So
mhm.
what's really funny is we got a podcast now. We got the production. Everything's going. Do you know what we don't have? We don't have a name for it.
Oh, oh,
Do you know why we don't have a name for it yet? It's because I don't have to have a name for it yet. We can record it and do everything and figure it out. So I want to recruit you into helping with the name. And
okay,
I'm going to tell you what I think the title's going to be. And
okay,
I want to just know your first reaction. And
got it.
any reaction's good. I think the title's going to be Winning Twice.
Winning
With that
twice.
idea, winning
Ooh,
twice, because
ooh,
we
ooh,
talk about winning in life and
okay,
business, and we call that winning twice. So I think that's going to be the headline, the title, Winning Twice.
okay,
My question to
I like that.
you is, what should the subtitle say?
I would probably go one of two ways, right? So first thoughts, right? Because I did the bourbon company, with Chris Voss and
Yeah, yeah.
these guys are amazing, and it's always about the difference. So I've incorporated that into a lot of my conversations and when I'm speaking about be intentional and be the difference. So those two things come to mind. So when you
Mm,
say winning twice, be intentional, right? With your growth.
mm,
And I don't know if growth is the right word for it, but that's where people really do. This is how you grow yourself, grow your business, grow your life, grow your personality, grow your depth of who you really are. All these things matter. But to put it out to where somebody would go, ooh, that sounds like a cool podcast I'd like to be on. I almost want to incorporate some of our Generation Zers because they live in this world. I'm an old guy. So I think old school of what would resonate to me, and what resonates to
mm.
me is if I'm intentional. So I love the intentional portion of it, but they could probably chat GPT it and put it into 8 other words instead that resonate to people today, because podcasts aren't for old guys like me. Podcasts are for people that are kind of that generation past me, the millennials and the Generation Zers. They live in this world. They don't know a world without it. I'm still learning it, right? I've been on a million of them and
Yeah,
I enjoy it and it's fun because I
yeah.
can have interviews and conversations with my friends or people that I want to know or that I want to know more about, or that I could share great information. But I go into it with nothing in expectation of me. Or so maybe I even kind of think in my head of, winning twice, no expectations, win every time. Something like that. Because
I love it.
if you can go into it with no expectation, then you're going to be genuine and you can build relationships. And I really think it's about relationships. But if you say relationship building, that's old school type talk. These
Eh,
younger generation are not going to
yes.
resonate to that. And I think they need this more than ever because they don't have what we're talking about. They've never been taught it. They don't learn it. They've never experienced it. They're experiencing
Yeah,
world in a
you're
way that
right.
we never have. But they don't have the relationship building piece that we grew up doing because we lived in the day where we left. Our parents had no idea where we were all day long, be home when the streetlights were on. We all knew it because the streetlights came on everywhere at the same time. So you knew to go home at that time. And your parents gave you a few minute leeway when the streetlights came on. You got to be home within a few minutes. And now they know
Yeah,
where you're at because otherwise they had no idea where you were. We didn't have phones. We didn't have computers. We didn't have any type of
yeah.
messaging. If I want to talk to Austin, I got to get on my bike and drive a mile and a half away to go to Austin's house and knock on the door. Is Austin home? And we didn't even call him by Austin. Is Cheviron home? And then your parents were like, we're all
Yeah.
Chevrons. Chevron who? I'm like, I don't know. Chevron, Chevron, because
Well,
that's what it was. I was Shewell. Well, Shewell. Was he home? And my dad was like, well, which one? Because there's multiple kids that live here. Which one? That type of thing. So I think if we can resonate that way, but I'd love to have
intentional.
it be more
Going
of
back to
more of
that.
that. Mhm.
Well, I got one last question for you.
Sure thing.
15-second answer for me here.
Sure.
And this one's for the world. As an entrepreneur, what's one lesson that you can share with our other listeners that are entrepreneurs? Some words of wisdom.
Really simple. I'm going to give the same thing. I believe this in my core, and I've said it to my kids 1,000 times. And I hope when one day when Austin keeps saying it to my kids, that they finally actually hear it. Because when I say it, they don't hear it anymore. That's the reality of the world. But the key to success, it's really simple. And every entrepreneur, every great person will tell you the same thing. If you're trying to do this, then make sure you're surrounded by people that are doing this
Mm,
already or doing way above this, and you'll get to this very quickly. You can get there on your own. You can go through all the painstaking mistakes and you can take a long time to get there. But if you want to get there more quickly, surround yourself with the people that are already there. Get in those rooms, get those relationships. I will teach you. Austin will teach you. We can show you how to get their attention. And it's really simple. And I'll give it to you right now. All you have to do is go up to them to say hello and ask them about them and mean it.
mm,
Don't tell them what
love
you
it.
know. Don't tell them you know who they are. Don't tell them, oh, I know this about you. No, you don't. You don't know anything about them. You know what you read. You know what you were told. You know what the outward media sees. That's what you know. Go ask them questions about them and be genuine about it. And they want to talk about themselves. 3 people, their favorite people, me, myself, and I. They can talk about them without worrying about somebody trying to catch them stumbling or catch them with a question that they can't answer or make them feel stupid or make them feel weird or make them uncomfortable. Ask them about
Well, you know
them
what I love?
because they love
What I
talking.
love about that, Kurt, is you brought this entire episode in full circle because that's exactly where we started. So, my friend, thank
Yeah.
you for our time today. I appreciate you. I'm sure I'll see you within 30 days here. Thank you. Thank you for
We
being you,
will.
my friend. Appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Massive love for you, Austin. Thank you for having me on your show. Appreciate being your first guest.
Will
Thanks,
do.
man. All
Yeah.
right.
See
Take
you,
care.
brother.
See you, bro.